Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a My 2 Cent video for this week, for the week of April 29th to May the 4th, for 2024. Hopefully you guys are going to enjoy, hopefully you have a fun May the 4th for any Star Wars fans out there and all. And we got 5 stories to cover this week, including basically Square Enix not releasing some great financial numbers, to say the least. The March Circana numbers are out there and all that stuff. A little bit of a controversy surrounding basically Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door for the Nintendo Switch. We also have some response in terms of with Fallout, ranging from the update that came out to basically the talk about possibly trying to get, another Fallout game sooner rather than later, and of course some controversy surrounding Stellar Blade and everything like that. Mostly some of that has to do with some of the censorship controversy that seems to have gone around on the internet and all. For those who are interested where I got the source of these information, links will be in the description of this video, assuming you're watching this on YouTube. Excuse me. But before we get started, I do like to do the quick My 2 Cents, stories that kind of caught my attention, but I'm not going to go into a huge amount of details. The first one has to do with a rating board for PEGI, which is in Europe, seems to indicate that Hi-Fi Rush is going to be coming to the Nintendo Switch. Now, this game was rumored to be coming to other platforms for a while. There were rumors it could be making its way to the Nintendo Switch and all. It eventually did make its way to the PS5, but not to the Nintendo Switch. There were some rumors pointing out that this could be making its way to the Switch too, but assuming this PEGI rating is accurate, it sounds like it could still make its way to the Nintendo Switch. The question is, whether or not how well this game will run on the Nintendo Switch. That remains to be seen at this time. We also learned that basically leaker or Sega leaker Miordi, if I'm saying the name correctly, is reporting that all of Sega's reboots that are in the works right now, that there are plans for Sega to bring these games to the Switch 2 or the Switch successor, though. While nothing is official at this time, there are some people who believe that a lot of developers were kind of caught off guard with the success of the Switch and maybe want to try to jump onto the Switch 2 and everything like that, though. So, assuming this rumor is true, I think that is certainly nice. Whether these Sega reboots like Golden Axe, Shinobi, Jet Set Radio or not are good or anything like that remains to be seen until we actually start getting our hands on the game and everything like that. We also learned for Koei Tecmo, it has been reported that basically Rise of the Ronin launch sales supposedly has surpassed Neo 1 and 2 according to Koei Tecmo and everything like that. I have been playing Rise of the Ronin, and I will say I am enjoying what I'm seeing, though. I think the game is fun and everything like that. I'm not saying it's perfect or anything like that, but I do feel like Rise of the Ronin to some extent feels like a combination of what Koei Tecmo and Team Ninja had done when they started with, Neo 1 and 2 and Wulong Fallen Dynasty, much like how I feel like Elder Ring from Software feels like a culmination of what From Software has done with games like Demon Souls, Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3, Sekiro Shall Die Twice, and of course Bloodborne and everything like that. We also learned that supposedly basically Stellar Blade is the best-selling game, at least in the UK, for this week after launching on the PS5 and everything like that. It's going to be very interesting to see where that gets on the Circana charts, but based on some of the hype around the game and some of the response, though, it does seem to indicate that there is a very good chance that game may actually do very well, at least in the US sale charts, and which I certainly have been enjoying what I've been seeing so far. I mean, I'm kind of impressed for a game that was developed by basically Shift Up, which is known to do mobile titles, but to do something that it's a non-mobile title, this is good. I definitely think it's really good for them that the game is certainly getting some response, although there is some controversy surrounding it. But nevertheless, I'm glad the game is doing very well, at least in the UK. We're also learning that the game has also gotten basically the highest user ratings ever, which, again, can be sort of, you have to approach with some caution, though. I'm not saying all user reviews are bad or anything like that. Not every single one of them are, but there are some that you do have to wonder how much of them is either fanboying or trying to be biased or anything like that. So you do have to approach with some caution with the user reviews, but I wouldn't outright dismiss them either, to be exact. We also learned that supposedly there are some release dates for some of Xbox's game for the end of the year and everything like that. No, nothing official at this time, but we do know that Microsoft will be hosting their Xbox Showcase, I believe, on June 9th, so we might get a good release date for a lot of these games. Some of the rumors are pointing to games like Indiana Jones and I think Indiana Jones and the Great Circle or the Green Circle will be out in December, to Evolve, aiming for something like around November and all, but hopefully when Microsoft does their showcase, we'll get like maybe concrete release dates and all. We also learned about basically Starfield in terms of there are plans for the upcoming expansion Shattered Space, which supposedly will be launching this fall, to even basically they did a video in terms of some of the updates they will be doing with Starfield, including improving the maps, which is, thank God they're finally doing that, to basically more customization in terms of how you want the game to play, and also the fact that they are bringing Land Rovers, to even aiming to try to hit 60 frames per second. Now, keep in mind, they are only showing this for the Series X. There's been no official how the Series S version is going to be, so time will ultimately tell. So while I am happy that they're doing some updates, I'm a little disappointed they didn't show anything on the Series S side, and I think it does raise some concerns about it, but we'll have to wait and see basically for that. But for the updates, they are aiming for, I believe, a May 15th for that one, though. We'll also learn that there supposedly is a rumor going around, or speculation, that pointed out that Xbox might be porting over more games to the PS5 and everything like that. Now, granted, it is worth pointing out that there is nothing official at this time, and we'll have to wait and see. Is it possible Microsoft could make an announcement during their Xbox Showcase? That is a possibility. I can't rule it out. Still, I am leaning towards that if Microsoft is planning to bring more of their games to other systems, whether it's to the PS5 or the Switch, or even the Switch successor, whatever that might be, I'm still in the camp that I think it's going to be on a case-by-case basis. So, do I think they're going to bring every game over? I'm not 100% sure about that, but I wouldn't be surprised if more games of theirs makes its way over, though. Some are speculating that Gears or Halo could happen, but time will ultimately tell for certain if that will happen or not, though. And last but not least, it turns out that there is a new thing for Steam Lab that has now offered a plugin for those who are using OBS, so it means that you don't have to choose between the two and all. This is certainly a nice feature for those who like to stream and everything like that. Unfortunately, the downside for this at this time is there isn't one available for the Mac OS. I tried going over there to take a look at Steam Labs because I'm recording this off of my Mac, so sadly it's not available, at least at this time. That doesn't mean that that can't change, and down the road we could see something for it, but for now that doesn't seem to be the case or anything like that. And finally, in the movie and TV show side of it, though, we learned that supposedly Spider-Man has made a cameo appearance in the X-Men 97 series. For those who are not familiar, Spider-Man was part of that cinematic universe, or the X-Men cartoons, as they did cross paths, especially with one episode where Spider-Man went to see Charles Xavier and all. This was back during the X-Men back in the 90s and everything like that. So far, from what I understand, he didn't say anything at this time, but it does kind of open the door to the possibility that Spider-Man, at least in that universe, could get his own, get a revival of his own show. I mean, if X-Men could get a revival with X-Men 97, then it's possible they could do one with Spider-Man. Maybe Spider-Man 98. I mean, who knows on that one. We also learned that Ryan Gosling and Mike Dooley basically were at the premiere of Ryan Gosling's new movie Fall Guy, and the interesting thing is that they were dressed up as Beavis and Butthead. And for those who are not familiar, there is an SNL skit where basically you have them dressed up kind of looking like Beavis and Butthead and all, even though they act like they have no idea who Beavis and Butthead is. It's a very funny skit, and I heard that it's gotten a lot of praise from folks who watched it and thought that was pretty funny and everything like that. So interesting to see him premiere at his Fall Guy premiere, and have him and Mike Days, if I'm saying the name correctly, dressed up as Beavis and Butthead at the Fall Guy premiere and all. We also learned that supposedly Jeff Bridges will return for Tron Ares or something, I believe, or Tron 3 to be exact. It's certainly nice to hear that Jeff Bridges will be returning, considering he was in the first 2 Tron movies and, of course, the original 80s classic and all. But I am also very curious to see how they're going to bring him back, considering what happened to his character at the end of Tron Legacy and everything. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that is going to play out and all. We also learned that supposedly Sony and Apollo are working actually to make a bid for all cash payment for Paramount for $26 billion. No word from Paramount at this time, to be exact. We know they're still trying to work out a deal with Skydance Media, although supposedly there are some issues with that and that they're not going to be able to close the deal in time as a lot of people has expected, though. This would be very interesting to see if Sony actually buys Paramount and everything like that. That said, I think there's going to be some hurdles for that, including the FTC, and we all saw what the FTC was trying to do with Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard. So the question is if they're willing to go through a headache dealing with the FTC or not. So time will ultimately tell. We'll see if Paramount takes the deal that Sony might be offering all. And speaking with Paramount, last but not least, it seems as though that Knuckles has been seeing some pretty good viewership in terms of on Paramount Plus. So certainly nice to see that. I haven't watched the show on that one yet. I want to finish off the second season of Halo, but I'm definitely will be going to Knuckles and the next one I'll be watching, which will be the Knuckles TV show, though. I'm very curious to see how that one is in terms of building up for I believe the holiday release of Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and all. Okay, with the quick my 2 cent part, along with the movie and TV show part now officially done, we'll get started with our first story, and this one has to do with Stellar Blade and some of the controversy supposedly surrounding this game and everything like that. Now, when this game was originally announced, though, it was sort of interesting, some of the attention the game had gotten, though. It was interesting, ranging from Sony buying the studio, and then basically making it an exclusive to their system, the PS5, although with the whole way Sony handles some of their exclusivity, some might view it as controversial, others may not, though. But either way, though, the game certainly did garnish a lot of attention, and when they also released the demo, which I tried out before getting the main game, though, it turned out to be actually a very interesting game to play, though. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not sure I would call it a AAA game, but it definitely feels more like an AA game, and that certainly isn't by any chance a bad thing. Now, one of the obvious selling points for Stellar Blade is basically, the TNA part, or basically, the sex sells kind of situation, though, which isn't really that shocking. And honestly, I'm not as bothered by this in any way at all, though. I mean, to me, it's the gameplay. I mean, however the developers want to design the character, that's their decision at the end of the day, no matter what. But there has been some controversy recently that has popped up with this game, and this has to do with many calling it censorship. And some of this has ranged from the change in some of the suits to Eve's costume and everything like that, to the point that it has gotten a change.org petition and everything like that. In terms of a breakdown of all this, though, the first one does come from basically from Forbes, from Paul Tatsy, that kind of breaks it down in terms of basically some of the controversy. So here's a couple of them, though. A couple of the game's dozen of outfits for Eve were seemingly changed in minor ways for the patch-free disc version of the game to final release. This was not the version reviewers had, as this was already patched once, but if you forgo all the patch, these old costumes can still be seen on the disc, though. The other points were there is one main costume in question, a bunny-style swimsuit, which adds a teeny bit of lace on the chest and a small amount of coverage in the hip. Another costume had a bit of netting adding to the chest area. A couple more may or may not have been barely visible difference, but these are the main one repeatedly brought up. From the outside perspective, it's odd players could preserve it on this to such a degree, given that those outfits are similarly enormous, revealing, and there are a dozen or two other outfits just as revealing, if not more so, in the same region where these costumes were censored. But the counterclaim is that any amount of change like this should be considered censorship and should be protested vehemently. Shift Up was asked about this direction at one point. They said outright the final costume we wanted to show you was the one that is seen in the patch, leading many people to point out that this was simply the developers' vision for the outfits rather than someone pressuring them to change it. There are also no hard evidence Sony has demanded these changes, which is kind of interesting because there has been allegations made against Sony about some censorship of certain characters and so forth. So that certainly is something to point out, although as the article says, there's no hard evidence to back this up though. One side issue is that the Shift Up previously advertised that Celebrate would be released uncensored in all regions, though this was mainly a statement about the dealing with Japan's often conservative rating board and that they didn't have to cut anything for them or other regions, but now players are lumping these small costume change into censorship ideas and accusing the game of falsely advertising itself. There is an additional complaint that the gore has been censored in the final game, but that does not appear to have actually happened, with players setting performance and quality being responsible for different textures appearing or not appearing. The game is still plenty goring though. Another article points out about basically the Stellar Blade petition titled Free Stellar Blade, which according to the article, this one's from Game Ramp, that was written 6 days ago. It says Stellar Blades fans are petitioning to roll back alleged outfit change with over 17,000 signatures on change.org. Some fans accuse the studio of censorship, but others believe that change were developers' creative decision. Despite outfit controversy, the Day 1 update also adds new game patch, new game plus, and everything like that. Mode increasing repeated values for players and everything like that. Despite the controversy, the developers have also weighed in, saying they passionately thank fans for passionately following the censorship controversy. According to the Twitter page, it says, thanks to all the Stellar Blade fans for your passion feedback. Stay tuned for update. And then one from the gamer has basically pointed something out about some of this, though. This one has to do with like a racial slur that was later taken out and everything. According to the article, it points out that the controversy around Celebrate's hard R graffiti was unintended and already fixed for release. Shift Up did not intend to include offensive content and will be replaced the graffiti in a Day 1 patch. Claims of censorship are unfound, and Sony did not force the removal, and Shift Up is rectifying a mistake. Basically, the article also points out it basically points out a couple of things. And here's some of the stuff. Here's some of the stuff that is mentioned in the article that says, here it is. Okay, it says, quote, despite the pretty obvious unintentional nature of the phrase, the same group of gamers that have been positioning Celebrate as a curtail against game journalists who hate hot women, it's now current that the game has been censored as Shift Up has betrayed its principle. Like most, maybe even all journalists, I am anti-censorship, and I'm sure this isn't actually censorship. For Shift Up to be betraying its principle, you have to argue that it's intended to include into a slur in the game, knowing that it would be offensive, would likely damage its standing with the PlayStation. It's clear this is not the case. It did not intend to be offensive, and it's simply rectifying a mistake that could have been offensive to players. The people saying this is censorship are claiming that Sony forced Shift Up to remove the reference. There is no evidence that Sony did this, and if Sony did want to censor the game, it would have done so before release and everything like that. Another part of the article, it also says, it's crucial to remember that for such a controversial game, Stellar Blade is actually very apolitic. You're allowed to have your opinion about a sexy video game character and what they represent. in your imagined culture war. I certainly have plenty to say about how Eve is depicted in the game, but projecting that onto Shift Up developer is pretty silly. As much as players may claim Celebrate upholds values that the general right-wing anti-DEI section of the game espouse, that is simply not true. The game isn't right-wing, nor is it left-wing. According to the previous statement and interviews, Shift Up CEO really just wanted his main female character to be hot. The developers have never said that they are anti-censorship, that slurs should be allowed in the game, that all women in the game should be sexy, or that they have any kind of political agenda at all. We could view the game as a reflection of modern politics, especially how it's been perceived by the audience, but Shift Up itself had never claimed to have any political leaning at all. So I will say, in regards of all this, I do think some of the controversy surrounding this game, I think it's kind of being blown way out of proportion to a certain degree. And I think it's ridiculous that some, not everybody, but some that are throwing the culture war, SJW, gamer game, feminazi BS on this, it's just simply ridiculous. Look, if the developers wanted to create a, smoking hot woman in their game, that's their decision and everything like that. They have a right to make the game how they want to make. Whether it clicks with audiences or not, it remains to be seen. And if this was a decision on the developers, not Sony, but the developer side, if that is true, then I don't really see any controversy over changing some of the outfits that Eve basically wears or anything like that. I mean, it's one thing if Sony did this, because, we've seen some of Sony's policies in terms of centering or changing certain outfits or anything like that, which is questionable at best. But at the same time, though, I still feel if this is the developer's decision, that's fine. If that's their call, that's their call. And honestly, looking at some of the outfits, including the ones that have seen some changes and everything like that, personally, I'm not really seeing it. Don't think it's as huge of a deal as some people are making it out to be, especially those who are signing this on this change.org petition. So I really feel like, and I'm just speaking for myself on this, I really think this controversy is somewhat being blown way out of proportion. And I think a lot of folks need to kind of take a step back a little bit, though. Does it ruin my time with the game? No, it doesn't really. I'm still enjoying it. I'm still trying it out. I just think this controversy is being blown way out of proportion. So overall, I think there is some debate about censorship, but I'm not really seeing it with Stellar Blade or anything like that. And I just feel that this one is, people are just, like I said, are blowing it completely out of proportion and all. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 2, and this one has to do with Fallout and some interesting things ranging from the update to Microsoft trying, maybe you want to try to get a new Fallout game sooner rather than later and all. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of my 2 cent video for this week. And for this one, we're going to be taking a look at basically Fallout, particularly the situation surrounding with Microsoft in terms of output of Fallout game to basically the whole situation surrounding the next gen update though. Now, as you're probably aware of, the Amazon launched, the first season of Fallout on Amazon Prime Videos and everything like that. And that show has really kind of blown up and everything like that. It's getting very good reviews and everything. I've been watching a couple episodes here and there when I get the chance. I am liking what I'm seeing so far on that though. And so to see basically games like Fallout 4 and everything see a rise in concurrent players because of the TV show, that certainly isn't really that surprising and everything like that though. Now, last year, there was a report that Bethesda was working on a next-gen update for Fallout 4 and everything like that. It was originally, I believe, supposed to come out last year, but they decided to push it into April. Many suspected this had to do with the Fallout TV show and all. And given the fact that Bethesda is starting work on Elder Scrolls 6 and everything, there has been talks about how we may have to wait a little bit longer for Fallout 5 and everything like that. But recently, there's been some chatter about Microsoft in terms of what they should do with that situation. Some ideas has ranged from basically having, a approach similar to what we saw with Fallout New Vegas, with Obsidian handling that title, to even Todd Howard weighing in on the situation, though. In an article from VCCF Tech, it's reading basically a comment made from Windows Central Jez Corton, who made a suggestion during the latest episode of the Xbox 2 podcast, and this is what he had to say. Quote, "They're currently formulating plans on how to get the next Fallout here for us sooner rather than later, which I know is vague as hell, but like we constantly talk about, will we ever see Fallout this decade? No, we won't, and the answer is I think we will. I think we will see Fallout. It's a bit different here because they already got the engine, the Starfield engine. They just got to kind of make the assets for it. I'm suggesting someone else is going to build it. I think probably Obsidian. I just know that they know they can't let this take too long. That's the glitz of the current plan. We're not going to have to wait that long for it, though." Meanwhile, Todd Howard made an interesting comment. He said he hasn't ruled out the possibility of external developments on future games, though. This was when he had an interview with Kind of Funny Games on Monday. This is what he had to say, though. Quote, "They do take a long time. So I think one of the things we focus on here is obviously making sure they're of the highest quality, although knowing the whole Bethesda bug situation, that is certainly debatable to say the least, but also find ways to increase our output because we don't want to wait that long either, right? It's never our plan, but we want to make sure we get it right. Off the back of the successful launch of Amazon's Fallout TV series, the franchise appears to be more popular than it has ever been. However, asked if this has led Bethesda's discussion the possibility of partnering with external developers on, or for example, much non-number series like Obsidian's Fallout New Vegas or a mobile spin-off. He said, quote, "I would say we always have that conversation. We did a lot of things for the show. It might seem like there isn't a big new game out there, but we're adding content into 76 for the show. 76 has a great map expansion that's coming this summer with Skyline Valley. So we're looking at what we're doing with the franchise to say, do we still feel good about it? I can't reveal it. I can't reveal it now. Our runaway for the Fallout as a franchise. When is season 2 happening? What are we doing on mobile? What are we doing on 76? What are we doing with this thing? What are we doing with this other thing? Where are these landing? And again, if I could snap my finger and have them all out, be ready, I would. But the main thing is, how do we deliver these high quality levels? That's always the most important thing. So do I think that, do I think that Microsoft might consider putting some pressure on Bethesda to maybe look at getting a Fallout game out sooner than ever? Well, I mean, given how well the TV show is doing and all, it wouldn't really surprise me at all, nor would it surprise me if they were to go up to Obsidian and ask if they wanted to do another Fallout game. And I think they have been interested in doing one for a while and all. However, we know that Obsidian is working on several games. Right now, they're working to finish up Evolve. We know that they're doing the Outer Worlds 2 and everything like that. So it remains to be seen if they're going to have, enough time to even do another Fallout game or anything like that. But I wouldn't mind something like, say, a Fallout game in the style of New Vegas, something to keep people occupied as they wait for Fallout 5 and everything like that. I don't really think there's anything wrong with doing something like that. I think that could be a good thing and all, though. So maybe Microsoft might push to get another Fallout game out sooner than later. I mean, obviously, I seriously doubt it would be a Fallout 5, but I could see them maybe going to Obsidian or another development team, since, Microsoft owned Bethesda, to consider doing a Fallout game in the style similar to New Vegas. I could definitely see that happen and all. Now, in terms of basically the next-gen update, that one has come out, but it seems as though there is some bit of a controversy. This has to do with not only on the release on the PlayStation, the PS5, but also on the Xbox Series system, though. And it raises some questions about, especially with the quality mode and everything like that. Anyway, a breakdown of all this is that it seems that apparently, according to an article from Paul Tassi, here's sort of the breakdown of it. Quote, PlayStation players who got the game through PlayStation Plus Extra were not able to upgrade to the next gen version, confusing many. Bethesda has now chimed in, say it will indeed be available without explaining what happened, but hopefully at least the aspect will be clearer up soon. On PC, there is a concern that this really did not do all that much and actually broke a lot of things. The number of bugs fixes is not all that many for an update supposed to be this big. The update has broken a number of longtime Fallout mods many players have been running for years and thrown future mod projects into chaos. And while there's now an ultra-wide support for the game, it stretches out the UI with no FOV slider to be able to fix that. The game is also still locked at 60 frames per second on PC and cannot go higher. Steam Deck users have their settings wiped out by the update in addition to the above PC issue. Quality mode for the game is broken on Xbox Series X and S, according to reports. Disabling performance mode doesn't do anything, and the game stays at 60 frames per second, and the resolution remains the same. This does not appear to be happening on PlayStation. Bethesda tried to clarify this, and they released a statement basically saying that, quote, according to the patch notes, basically they're saying, quote, quick note on Fallout 4 next-gen updates on Xbox Series X. It actually targets at 4K 60 in all modes. Performance mode is more aggressive in lowering settings to maintain this target. But as I said, hopefully this clears up any confusion. Keep the feedbacks coming in. Thanks for playing. Yeah, I mean, it's supposedly for something that was a next-gen update that was supposed to be delayed into this year and all. Yeah, not exactly, I would say not exactly a good thing, especially when Todd Howard was interviewed on Kind of Funny, basically saying they want to aim for the utmost quality. Especially when you have quality mode that isn't running on this high resolution that they were saying, though. And the fact that it's running at 60 frames per second, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm glad it's running at 60 frames per second, but you would think for something like quality mode, it would be like maybe 4K 30 and all that stuff, while reducing it down to maybe like 1080p 60 frames per second or 720p 60 frames per second for performance mode. It's just weird in every single way reading about this and all, and it just makes you kind of wonder, especially if I have it on Series S, like what's the point getting the next gen update when I could just get the Fallout 4, which is on the Xbox One version, and just turn on FPS boost mode for that and just play it that way. It just seems to me this update didn't really, in my opinion, doesn't seem to have done much and everything like that. Not to mention, it's also had the mod cancel of, Fallout London and everything like that. So it's just a very odd situation surrounding with the Fallout 4 update and all. So overall, I think it wouldn't surprise me if Microsoft, along with Bethesda, try to get another Fallout game out sooner than later. I don't think it's going to be Fallout 5, but I wouldn't rule out the possibility it could be something along the lines of what Fallout New Vegas is. As far as this next-gen update, while it sounds nice, it does seem to indicate that waiting a year for this, it didn't turn out to do much. At least that's how I'm looking at it, though. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 3, and this one has to do with the controversy a little bit surrounding the remake of Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, as it has to do with the fact that the game's running at 30 frames per second than 60 frames per second that the original GameCube release ran on. So we'll take a quick break and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 3 of my What You Sent video for this week. And for this one, we're going to be talking about Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, the remaster remake that will be coming out later this month for the Nintendo Switch. Now, I know a lot of people, there are certainly folks looking forward to, to getting this game and everything like that. It's considered by many to be the best entry in the Paper Mario series, and you can see why, because after that game came out, I think Nintendo tried to experiment with other Paper Mario games, and not every single one of them have gotten sort of the best response since, Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door. So I think a lot of people are looking forward to it. Now, one of the things that was noticed when footage of the game was shown was that it looked like it basically was, and it's been confirmed to basically run at 30 frames per second, which is completely different to how the GameCube version, which ran at basically 60 frames per second. Now, I'm not speaking for every Nintendo fan out there, but I will say not everyone is pleased with this. Some people are a little bit disappointed to see basically this game run at 30 and not run at 60 frames per second. Well, one of the folks who worked on Bayonetta Origins sort of chimed in on this on X, formerly known as Twitter. And this is what this individual had to say. It was basically by the name of Abid Tinar. I apologize if I'm butchering that name. But here's a couple of the posts that he pointed out, saying, quote, "I can empathize with the developers of Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door on Switch with the whole 30 FPS versus 60 FPS situation. We tried for a long time to get Chereza and the Lost Demon running at a stable 60 FPS. We were able to maintain 60 FPS in the Aulx stages, but it just wasn't possible to keep the same visual fidelity and hold 60 FPS in the forest. My choice was either to have an unlocked frame rate with frequent dips to 30 and 50 FPS, or cap it and hold it at a stable 30 FPS. And the most difficult part of the game development is making choices about what to prioritize. Everything has a cost, both in terms of development time and to implementing it, and to term of processing time when the game is running. Ultimately, you simply cannot have everything. Cat LD may not look visually complex, but there is an actually ton of post-processing going on under the hood. The colors fade in like ink as you move through the world. The shading patterns on objects, the way the world curves to allow you to see further into the distance. All these visuals effects have processing costs. I felt the picture book was integrated in the overall experience, so it was not worth throwing it away to hit 60 FPS. I imagine the team making Paper Mario face a similar dilemma. It would be one thing if this was an enhanced port of the original game, i.e. version of Pikmin 1 and 2 on the Switch, but this is a full rebuild of the game. I'm sure they wanted to use modern techniques to really make the paper aesthetic shine, and these have a cost. Let's see further on. All I say for certain is that the team made the choice that they felt would lead to the best overall experience for players. I promise you, it was not a decision made lightly or out of laziness. I missed out on the original, so I'm looking forward to playing it on Switch. Now, I won't exactly dismiss what this person is basically saying, so I'm not going to go out of my way and dismiss it. I mean, after all, this person is a game developer and probably knows way more than I would ever know, to be exact. So it is possible what he's saying is correct, that maybe this was a decision based off of a lot of the stuff that Nintendo probably wanted to do when developing Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door for the Nintendo Switch. So I can't rule that out entirely. On the other hand, at the same time, I do think that there is a difference between what Paper Mario Thousand Year Door Remake and the Bayonetta Origin Chesa and the Lost Demon, as Chesa and the Lost Demon was a brand new game, an original game, when this one is sort of a remake and remaster. So I just feel like to some extent that maybe they could have found a way to maybe even offer maybe some sort of graphical option for Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door for the Nintendo Switch. Maybe give people the choice to choose between 30 or 60 with maybe changing some of the artwork or anything like that. I mean, it is possible though. Again, I'm not dismissing what this guy is saying. I do think he is probably spot on in some areas and knows way more than I do, but I just feel like there probably were ways that Nintendo could have hit 60 FPS for Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door. That being said though, I will say 30 frames per second isn't necessarily bad, provided that it's a stable and steady 30 frames per second. And being this is more of a turn-based RPG compared to like other games out there, I don't think frame rate is a huge priority. I'm not saying it's an unimportant priority, but for something that is a turn-based RPG, I just don't see it as mostly important compared to like a action game or something like that, or a first-person shooter to a certain degree though. So I would say for me, it's somewhat disappointing to see it run at 30, but not something I'm losing absolute sleep over. So overall, I do think the Bayonetta Origin director does raise some good points, though. I won't completely dismiss what this person is saying, but I also feel at the same time, I think there may have been a way they could have found a way to hit 60, maybe if they had basically found a way to maybe offer a graphical option to have the game run at 30 or 60 frames per second and so forth. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we'll get to part 4, and this one has to do with the Circana numbers for March 2024. Those numbers are out, so we'll take a quick break and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 4 of my 2 cent video for this week. And for this one, we're going to be taking a look at the Circana numbers for March 2024. And so with this one out, it was going to be very interesting to see how a lot of games were doing for that month and all. Particularly the 3 big ones, I think, were Dragon Dogma 2, Rise of the Ronin, and Princess Peach Showtime. So it was going to be very interesting to see how these games did and everything like that. And the results certainly have came in though. And interestingly enough, a game that was considered like got a cult following and everything like that, Dragon's Dogma, apparently was the #1 game in March, despite some controversy with some of the performances for the game, particularly also on PC as well. Anyway, a lot of this comes from Matt Piscatella, who made some comments about this on X. Basically, one of the big one is that, quote, PlayStation 5 leads the hardware market in units and dollar sales during both March and the first quarter. Nintendo Switch once again finished in second in unit sales across both time period, while Xbox Series ranks in second in dollars. In terms of what he points out in terms of games like Dragon Dogma, he writes, Dragon Dogma 2 debut as the best-selling premium game of March and the third best-selling game of 2024 year-to-date. With just 1 month in the market, Dragon Dogma 2 has already surpassed the life-to-date track dollar sales of Dragon Dogma and Dragon Dogma Dark Arisen combined. He points out how Helldivers 2 is still doing well. Final Fantasy Rebirth, he brings up 2 points of this, saying, quote, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth remains the 4th best-selling game of 2024 year-to-date, despite falling 5 spots in the month, ranking to 7th in March after placing 2nd in February. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth currently ranks 14th across all of Final Fantasy released in lifetime sales in the US market. Final Fantasy, I believe 15 is the first all-time, followed by Final Fantasy I think Final Fantasy 7 Remake and the original Final Fantasy 7. So in terms of where they are ranked, basically, here are the best-selling games so far of March 2023. We have, actually no, this one is, the top, where is it? Okay, yeah, here it is. The best one for March 2023. We have Dragon's Dogma 2 at number 1, Helldivers 2 at number 2, MLB The Show 24 at number 3, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 2023 at number 4, Rise of the Ronin at number 5, Princess Peach's Showtime at number 6, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth at number 7, Unicorn Overlord at number 8, WWE 2K24 at number 9, Hogwarts Legacy at number 10, Madden NFL 24 at number 11, EA Sports FC 24 at number 12, Minecraft at number 13, Horizon 2 Forbidden West at number 14th. Last month it was ranked at 107th. Tekken 8 at number 15. It was ranked 5th last month. Rainbow Six Siege Tom Clancy at number 16. Elden Ring at number 17. Mario Kart 8 at number 18. Marvel Spider-Man 2 at number 19. And Mortal Kombat 1 at number 20. These are the top best-selling games for March 2024. In terms of year-to-date, ending at March 2024, we have Helldivers 2 at number 1, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 2023 at number 2, Dragon's Dogma 2 at number 3, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth at number 4, MLB The Show 24 at number 5, Tekken 8 at number 6, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League at number 7, Madden NFL 24 at number 8, Persona 3 Reload at number 9, Hogwarts Legacy at number 10, EA Sports FC 24 at number 11, Skulls and Bones at number 12, Marvel Spider-Man 2 at number 13, Rise of the Ronin at number 14, Super Mario Bros. Wonder at number 15, Elden Ring at number 16, Minecraft at number 17, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth at number 18, The Last of Us Part 2 at number 19, and Mortal Kombat 1 at number 20. In terms of the top 10 PS5 games for basically March of 2024, we have Fortnite at number 1, Call of Duty HQ at number 2, Grand Theft Auto 5 Remaster at number 3, and at NBA 2K24 at number 4, Helldivers 2 at number 5, Madden NFL 24 at number 6, Roblox at number 7, Marvel Spider-Man 2 at number 8, Sitfu at number 9, and in fact last month it was ranked at 151, and Minecraft at number 10, which ironically it was at number 10 last month. Over on the Xbox side of it, we have Fortnite at number 1, Call of Duty HQ at number 2, Grand Theft Auto 5 at number 3, Roblox at number 4, Minecraft at number 5, Madden NFL 24, EA Sports at number 6, NBA 2K24 at number 7, Rainbow Six Siege Tom Clancy at at number 8, Dead Island 2 at number 9, and MLB The Show 24 at number 10. In terms of March 2024, in terms of the top 10 best ranking games on Steam, they have basically top 10 titles ranked on Steam. They have Helldivers 2 at number 1, Counter-Strike 2 at number 2, Baldur's Gate 3 at number 3, Barto, if I'm saying the name correctly, at number 4, Rainbow Six Siege Tom Clancy at number 5, Dragon's Dogma 2 at number 6, Stardew Valley at number 7, Last EPOCH at number 8, Rocket League at number 9, and Elden Ring at number 10. He also pointed out the top 10 best-selling March top selling on the platform, and same with Xbox. Now over on the Nintendo side, this one's kind of interesting to a certain degree. We got Princess Peach Showtime at number 1, Unicorn Overlord at number 2. That is interesting to see that. Compared, even though the game it was released on other systems, the Xbox and the PlayStation, the fact that it ranked on the top 10 for the Nintendo Switch on the Nintendo platform, that's interesting indeed. Anyway, it's at number 2. Mario Kart 8 at number 3. Super Mario Bros. Wonder at number 4. Mario vs. Donkey Kong at number 5. Hogwarts Legacy at number 6. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate at number 7. Minecraft at number 8. Just Dance 2024 edition at number 9. And Pokemon Scarlet and Violet at number 10. So obviously, the big winner in this one obviously is Dragon Dogma 2, and that one certainly has to make Capcom happy and everything like that, despite some questionable decisions Capcom made when they launched the game, ranging from using the RE engine for the open world part for Dragon Dogma to, excuse me, to basically some of the graphical issues in terms of basically having, I think, just, you know, not at a stable 30 frames per second and everything like that. But in either case, it did very well in terms of the chart. So obviously Capcom must be happy about that. It's nice to see Unicorn Overlord on there, though, especially at number 2 for the Nintendo Switch. I've been playing Unicorn Overlord. That is a good game indeed, especially if you're a fan of, you know, the type of games that Vanillaware has done before in the past. Okay for Rise of the Ronin, although it did not exactly, I'm a little bit unfortunate they didn't make it into the top 10 for the top PlayStation games for March of 2024, considering that is a PlayStation exclusive and everything like that. But in either case, no matter how you slice and dice it, though, it's clear Dragon Dogma 2 was the big winner for March 2024. So overall, Circana put their numbers out, and no matter how you look at it, though, like I said, Dragon Dogma 2 is the big winner and all. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to our fifth and final part. And this one has to do with Square Enix in terms of, well, some of their financial report that really questions some of their decisions lately, though. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our fifth and final part of our My 2 Cents, and this one has to do with Square Enix and apparently a net loss that they have recently reported on. Now, to me, Square Enix can be a developer team that can, while they can make great games, and they have done so before, they've also made questionable decisions, to say the least, and unfortunately, sometimes you have to wonder what exactly is their strategy to begin with, though. So they have been known ranging from, you know, like we saw with Deus Ex Human Revolution with the microtransactions there, to telling Crystal Dynamics to make the Avengers game a live service, which that didn't go over well. Same with Babylon Falls, to be exact, to even Foam Star as well, to even some of the way Final Fantasy 15 was handled during the development of that game and all. So it just feels like there's certain, and also blockchains and NFTs, that whole obsession that Square Enix had and everything like that, and Forspoken too. So it just raised certain questions about some of the decisions Square Enix has made. Well, recently it looks like some of that may have caught up to Square Enix, as they, although this isn't their official shareholder meeting yet, it does seem to indicate that they did not exactly make a lot of money. They lost money, especially with possibly with some of the decisions that they made. In an article from IGN, it reports that saying, quote, Square Enix has revised its approach to PC and console game development and absorbed a 22.1 billion yen, approximately $104.9 million, in what is called a content abomination loss. In a warning to the investor community, the Japanese company said it will recognize the extraordinary loss for the fiscal year ending March 2024. This is the result of a change in approach to Square Enix development in what's called HD video games, PC and consoles, as opposed to mobiles and MMO. In its note, the company said it wants to be more selective and focus in the allocation of development resource, and as a result of the close examining, it is in its development pipeline. With this in mind, is taking the multi-million-dollar loss. Square Enix did not name the canceled or rescope in development title. The statement that they released said, basically saying, quote, at a meeting covered on March 27, 2024, the board of directors at Square Enix Holding Company, LTE, the company, voted in light of the myriad changes underway in the environment surrounding its group to revise the group's approach to development of high-definition HD games with the intent of being more selective and focused in the allocation of development resource. As a result of the close examination of the group's development pipeline undertaken in keeping with this revised approach, the company is expected to reorganize approximately 22.1 billion yen in content absorption loss on its books for the fiscal year ending March 2024. So you can look at this from many different kinds of perspectives, though. I mean, there could be a lot of things that may have led to this situation. Some might point to, as I mentioned before, their obsession with, NFTs and blockchains and AI. I think that certainly is a contributing factor. You could say they're a constant push for the live service, like what we saw with Marvel's Avengers, to basically to Babylon Fall. I think that may have been a contributing factor. Some might point to the exclusivity that Square Enix signed with Sony, as we saw with Final Fantasy 16, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, which supposedly sold less than what Final Fantasy 7 Remake did, though. I mean, you could cite that the PS4 had a bigger install base than what the PS5 currently has right now, so there's a possibility of that exclusivity, or some of the questionable decision, like a online multiplayer game like Foam Star, to basically a lot of things. So I think there's a lot of finger pointing out of this, though, and I think you could point to several things that may have led to Square Enix to be put in this situation. But it's going to be very interesting to see how they fix this one, whether they will learn anything or not. And unfortunately, I just have the feeling they probably won't, because we've seen what Square Enix has done in the past, especially when they set so high expectations for this game that has to sell this amount, but it doesn't. Still makes money, but it is considered a flop. Square Enix has known that. To what we see, like what WB Games is doing, which is doubling down on live services following the flop that is Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League. So, excuse me, we'll have to wait and see what Square Enix does when they do, I think, their full fiscal report, I think on May 13th and everything like that. But it's pretty clear, based on the amount of money they were losing, that something is going to have to change at Square Enix. Whether they learn anything from this or not, who knows, to be exact. And I am kind of curious to see what some of these games may have been canceled and everything like that, which I think is somewhat unfortunate, because I'm sure that some of those games may have been good, but yeah, not really a great sign for Square Enix. So hopefully they can turn things around, but I think we've been down this road before, so we'll have to wait and see what the future holds for Square Enix when they do their official fiscal report. So overall, yeah, not a great thing for Square Enix, taking a $140 million hit on a lot of canceled games, to definitely questionable decisions the leadership at Square Enix has made and all. Okay, this concludes this My 2 Cent video for this week. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about the whole Stellar Blade controversy, though? Do you think that the whole controversy is a big deal? Or do you think people are just basically blowing this way out of proportion and all? What are your thoughts about some of the comments about Fallout and everything like that? Do you think that Microsoft, which now owns Bethesda, should consider putting out a Fallout game sooner than later? Do you think that they should take the route what we saw with New Vegas and have another development team develop a Fallout game like what Obsidian did with New Vegas? Do you think Bethesda dropped the ball when it came to this next-gen update for Fallout 4 and everything? What are your thoughts about the whole 30 versus 60 FPS on Paper Mario, the Thousand Year Door remake for the Nintendo Switch? Do you think this developer was correct in terms of the one who worked on Bayonetta Origin, Trace, and The Lost Demon, in terms of them aiming for a steady, stable 30 FPS? Or do you think you feel like Nintendo could have tried to hit 60 FPS on Paper Mario, the Thousand Year Door remaster or remake? What are your thoughts about the Circana numbers that came out? Do you think that, were you surprised to see Dragon Dogma 2 do very well in any way? Were you surprised to see Princess Peach Showtime do well, or Unicorn Overlord? And what do you think about the position that Rise of the Ronin got in terms of the Circana numbers and all? And what are your thoughts about this Square Enix taking a $140 million hit, though? Do you think that this was a long time coming? Do you think that Square Enix made some very bad and questionable decisions in any way? Do you think Square Enix could somehow turn this around at all at any point, though? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you do like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icons for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You can do it through PayPal Me, Patreon, or Steam Labs. Links will be in the description of this video, assuming you're watching this on YouTube. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!